Welcome back to Let's Talk Careers. I'm so excited to bring another incredible guest. Today we are meeting with Ketki Chandavarkar, who is a mindset magician, and we're going to be talking about all things her career and how she went from being a young teenager making those first career choices to becoming a mindset magician. Welcome, Ketki. I'm so excited to have you with me today.
Thank you so much, Maria. I'm really excited to be here as well.
Your career is just really interesting. And I say this a lot, but in terms of your career, I mean, the whole topic of what is a mindset magician can be a conversation on its own. But before we jump into your current role, I want to take you down memory lane to when you were a younger teenager and you were interested in design and media studies and commerce. How did you get from being that younger teenager to finding your way through retail and then entrepreneurship?
Oh my gosh, this is definitely a train which is taking me way back. And I think in school, I was always a very creative person. So anything in the creative arts had always was always exciting me and kept me curious. So I used to do a lot of painting. I used to do a lot of designing. I was very passionate about fashion from the very get-go. However, when I was a kid, it was either you become a fashion designer or nothing else. So I didn't know if that was for me. So when I started thinking of, okay, what are the courses I would like to do? Because, a lot of these questions are asked of you at a very young age. And you're always trying to think of what that can be. And I went into commerce because also it was the easiest and the closest to the arts. And everyone told me that it was great to have maths because that opened up more avenues for you when it came to college applications and stuff like that. But then what happened was I finished all of it. I got into a design college, which had different disciplines in design, graphic design, fashion, interiors, all of those things, fine art as well. And once I got in, did I realize that actually what I studied in school really didn't make a difference. They wanted to see who I was, what my interests were, what my personality was like. Because I remember in art school, we had so many different days of different types of tests. The last one was where we were put in a group and we had to come up with different I think skits we had to put up. We had to put up presentations, group discussions, all of that. And my entire group got in from the thousands of kids who had applied. And when we got in and realized that all of us got in, we asked the professors, like, what happened? Like, what was the secret sauce? And everyone said, we saw how you guys interacted with each other. So that's what made us want all of you together because you guys really bonded well. You communicated well. Your personalities matched. So
Mm.
that really showed in everything that we put together as well. So I went to design college for a bit, got my foundation in design, but then I completely changed courses and went into media studies. One, because I realized during my foundation year that maybe design was not completely for me. And that's when I realized something can be your hobby and something can be your interest in actually taking it further as a career. So designing was a lot to do with fine art. And though that was my passion for a long time as a child, I realized that that is something I want to keep as my hobby and something that I like to do for myself. But when it came to actually seeing if I could take it forward as a career, it really didn't excite me to take it forward. So I went into media studies where I learned about journalism, filmmaking, radio, which was very interesting for me because my personality is such that I like to connect with people and I like to meet new people. And I'm an extrovert, introvert in that sense. So that was really fun for me. And during my college time, I was also, well, how do you say this? I was picked out to do a couple of modeling assignments. So that was exciting as well. And I just went where there was opportunity. And that also took me into signing up for a beauty competition in my hometown of Chennai in India. And I won Miss Chennai. And from there on, things just blew up, and I started getting into modeling a lot, which kind of brought me back to fashion in a sense, because I was working with a lot of designers, I was working with retail companies, and I saw that, wow, the products are interesting. How do you choose these products? The love for fashion was coming back to me, but I just didn't know what I wanted to do in that. So, though I finished my undergraduation in media studies and I did my internship and everything that I needed to do to finish my course, when it came time to take my career further, I was already working as a model and I was quite successful at that. And I just kept at it for a couple of years. But something was like, no, I want to learn more. Like fashion is calling out to me. So I went to Paris to do my master's in fashion management in luxury goods. Because once I got there, I was like, okay, I have to go to the capital of fashion and figure out what this love for fashion means to me. And once I did that course, I realized that how many avenues existed in the fashion world. There was merchandising, there is buying, there is operations, there's sales, there's brand management, all of these things. And that really interested me. And I wanted to get into the whole business of fashion. So yeah, that's how I started my got my foot into the retail door, and started my retail career as a buyer actually.
That's incredible. And as you were telling that story, a couple of things came to me, and I wrote them down. I heard a lot of adapting to the situation at every step, and also a lot of really recognizing what you were learning about yourself. So at one point you said, fashion was great and you enjoyed it, but you were wondering, well, is it going to be a hobby or will it be a career? But you always said yes to opportunities, even to the beauty competition and winning, which then opened up more opportunities for you.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of self-reflection along that way. My question, because when I work with young people, especially students who are really, they're kind of like the blinders are on and they're focusing so heavily on this competitive academic world, they don't really recognize the signals that are telling them this feels right, turn right, this feels a little off, maybe pay more attention. But as you were telling the story, I could recognize that you understood those cues. So my question is, how did you have a mentor that taught you to do that, or was that just a natural talent for you that you kind of picked up when you were younger and followed through?
That's a very good question, because today, when you ask me this, I'm able to articulate what I did and how I adapted to the situation back then. But when I was actually going through all of this, there was a lot of intuition that it was just speaking to me, and it was very strong from within. Because yes, I do come from India, and if a lot of people know how the academic situation in India is, it's literally the survival of the fittest. You have to be an A student all the time. And I kept seeing my friends strive for it. I kept seeing everyone around me tell me that I had to do that. But something in me just kept saying, you know what, it's okay. Let's just follow your curiosity, follow what excites you. I don't know where that came from, to be honest, because at that time it confused me a lot. I was unsure of if I was doing the right thing. But something just told me, you know what, it's fine. Let's just do it. You'll be fine. And honestly, that's all you can do, because no one has the answers. No one can tell you, oh, 2 plus 2 is 4, right? In your life, because sometimes it can be 4, sometimes it can be completely different things as well. So you don't always have to listen to everyone else, but somewhere just see what excites you, what gets you curious, and just allow yourself to try it. I remember even when the modeling assignments came up, yes, my friends around me and my family around me were very excited about it. And they said, yeah, just give it a go. You're still in college. I mean, what could go wrong? So I said, yeah, okay. I still had something that I was pursuing in terms of a career. But when this came along, I was like, okay, let's just give it a go. So everything has always been like that with me. And somehow I lost out on that when I actually started my career, because then I got the sense of, oh, now I'm grown up. Now uh, I have to make money. Now I finished my college years where I could be carefree and experimental. Now I have to focus on my career and make this work. And that's for the other part of my career as well, where I went from being in fashion retail, loving it for everything that it was. It allowed me to travel the world. It kept me in touch with products, which I love very much. Did all of that. However, I also burnt out from this experience because the hours are long, the travel is a lot, it's a lot of pressure, and being in Dubai, where retail is king, and everywhere you go, it's all about the retail experience. It really takes a lot out of you. So when I burnt out and I was looking for what tools can help me recover from it, that's when I came across coaching, and I kind of got into that as well and realized that I found my calling again. And as an adult, I had forgotten to follow my curiosity. But when I burnt out, I realized I had to go back to that to then just follow my curiosity and my excitement and really just make it work as an entrepreneur now.
I really appreciate that you brought in that personal journey of burning out, because young people think that it's going to be very method, there's a method to choosing that career from what am I studying? Am I good academically? One, two, three. But, I often tell students and parents that first start might feel like a method or a strategy, but following that, I believe that life experiences will almost dominate how career choices are made, whether it be obligation or opportunity. With you saying that, it's important that a young person going into retail, and you mentioned numerous different types of roles that they could do, but I appreciate that you mentioned the highly stressful element of being in that world, and most particularly in a part of the world where I believe all eyes are on the UAE right now in terms of fashion and technology and so many other areas. But do you feel that if you had to choose again, knowing what you know about retail, do you believe that you would have been more aware of preparing yourself in diving into this world? Or do you think that, it's just better to kind of go with it and just experience it?
Um, I think I would have definitely prepared myself a little better. And in that sense, not about the skills that I needed in the retail experience, but to know that it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to talk about stress, talk about burning out, because no matter which industry you go into, there is a point where you can overwork yourself and burn yourself out. And a lot of that comes to yourself and your belief system, your value system, what you're conditioned with, a lot of that. So if I knew back then that there were coaches available, that there's no mental health was not stigmatized, because where I come from, and especially my generation in India, it was kind of a stigma to talk about mental health so much. So I didn't even know, I didn't have a vocabulary that allowed me to express myself in that sense. So if I had worked with a coach back then, and knowing the requirements in the retail industry, I probably would have still stayed, because retail is something that I love. I love the business of fashion. Even today, being a mindset magician, I'm still very connected to the business of fashion and do work with some small brands in their with their retail strategies. So yeah, that's what I feel.
Can you give us a little trailer version of what a student should expect if they go into the fashion industry in retail?
Yeah. Well, the first thing is you have to know what aspect of the retail industry you want to get into because there's so many of them. I was in buying and merchandising, and when I was in school, I hated math. But when I came into the retail space and I started working as a buyer, math became my best friend, and it was fun because over here I was talking about products that I love to buy, how I wanted to procure it. So just knowing, okay, understand the industry you're getting into, talk to people, ask a lot of questions with people who are already in the industry. There's no stupid question, there's no wrong question. Just ask whatever you want to know. Ask them what their day is like. What time does the day start? What time does the day end? Really ask questions behind it because I finished my retail career as a brand manager. But as a brand manager, I was looking after the buying of the products. I was looking after the sales of the products. I was looking after operations. There was a lot of people skills involved because I was leading a team. So, all of those things come more with experience than with someone telling you, okay, this is what you need to do in a classroom. So I would really recommend that students talk to people in the industry, kind of take a deep dive into their day, go if they can for internships in that industry and experience what that day looks like follow a person. Because I know a lot of the times interns, and I was one as well, you're always just doing the copying and getting the coffee and all of those smaller bits. But if there is someone who is okay to just take you along with them for the entire day so that you can observe what their day is like, I think that is gold. Because you see, especially in the retail environment, there are store visits. What do you look at when you go into a store? What does that actually mean? A lot of the times people would have learned it in commerce class. Oh, sales by square feet. What does that actually mean? When I learned about it in class, it bored me to death. But when I was actually in it and I saw what that meant and what that meant for the business and my bottom line versus my top line, my whole world changed. So I would highly recommend just going with someone for the day.
I agree. I think it's one of the best ways for a young person to see the work environment and to understand, well, in this environment, can I see myself? Is this the kind of culture that I'm looking for? And I think as well, sometimes when you're shadowing a professional that you aspire to be like, you have the opportunity to observe the interactions with other members on the team as well. And
Yes.
I think that's a priceless experience for a student. We could go on forever. I'm going to bring it closer to a wrap. But before I do, what I'd like to know is what is a mindset magician and how did you come up with that job title?
Uh, yeah, thank you so much for asking me that. Um, well, when I started my coaching journey, what I realized was I have always been in some way or form training people. Because even in the retail business, when I was a buyer, I had to train my salespeople on what the product was. So when I love something, it just comes out naturally because I'm talking about my love of that product. So when I started learning the tools on being a coach, I realized that I loved talking to people and connecting with people. And because I was talking about something that I'm passionate about, it just comes naturally. And this came from the feedback from my clients and the people who are connecting with me that it was amazing to be around me. They loved my energy and they felt so good after talking to me. and it was like magic. So I'm like, oh, that means I'm a magician. And that's what I really used as describing myself, because I am a coach, but I'm also working on the mindset, because when you have a resilient mindset, when you have a growth mindset, things happen for you. Then you are kind of tuning into your intuition, which has always been my compass. I'm letting people learn how to tune into their own intuition so that they can create magic for themselves.
Amazing, amazing. And if anyone watching this right now wants to reach out, how do they do that, Ketki?
They can definitely reach out to me on Instagram. My handle is Phoenix Method Coaching. That is my coaching practice. And on LinkedIn, I'm under my name, Ketki Chandavarkar. So they can look me up. And yes, if they don't get that, they can reach out to you and you can give it to them as well. So,
Definitely.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Ketki. It was so much fun talking to you today and
Thank you
very,
so much.
very insightful. If you were just watching this, I hope you're walking away remembering, just like Ketki said, there's an internal intuition, I think is what you called it, Ketki, and really start to pay attention to the signals that your body's giving you. Because when you're choosing a career, it's not always a logical process on paper. Sometimes there's a lot of your intuition helping you on that journey. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We were speaking with Ketki Chandavarkar, who is a mindset magician. She took us from fashion to becoming a beauty queen to retail and then becoming an entrepreneur. So much in between. It would be unfair of me to just wrap it up that way. But if you are curious about the world of retail, I suggest that you listen to what Ketki just said. Find a mentor and try to get some shadow experience. So much to learn, so little time to do it in, but you definitely want to give it a try. And that is it for today. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Ketki, for being with me. And I will see you all at our next Let's Talk Careers with Ms.V.